John Garand's quiet genius was shaped not by titles or prestige, but by a lifetime of curiosity and disciplined craftsmanship. Born to a humble family, he grew up fixing machines, studying how things moved, and teaching himself engineering principles long before he ever stepped into a formal workshop. What made Garand remarkable was not just his intelligence, but his ability to think differently from everyone around him. While others focused on what had already been proven, he focused on what could be improved. He observed problems with a calm, methodical mindset, breaking them down until solutions seemed almost obvious, solutions no one else had imagined. When he arrived at Springfield Armory, he didn't come in as a celebrated inventor, but as a quiet worker who preferred hands-on experimentation to grand speeches. Colleagues often described him as a man of few words, but every prototype he built spoke louder than any boast could. His mind worked like a precision machine, constantly evaluating, adjusting, and perfecting. Garand's humility allowed him to stay focused on the work itself rather than personal glory. His genius wasn't loud or dramatic. It was engineered through patience, skill, and an unwavering commitment to solving the challenges of modern warfare. As warfare evolved in the early 20th century, armies were still relying on bolt-action rifles, powerful but slow, demanding soldiers to manually cycle each round before firing again. This limitation became increasingly dangerous as battles grew faster and more chaotic. Troops needed a rifle that could keep pace with the intensity of modern combat, one that allowed them to fire multiple shots without constantly interrupting their aim or exposing themselves to enemy fire. John Garand recognized this need long before it became widely accepted. He understood that a semi-automatic rifle wouldn't just increase firepower. It would fundamentally change how soldiers fought, moved, and survived on the battlefield. While many military leaders clung to conservative thinking, believing complex mechanisms would fail in harsh conditions, Garand saw opportunity where others saw risk. He envisioned a rifle that blended reliability with speed, something rugged enough for mud, snow, and sand, yet advanced enough to deliver rapid, accurate shots in moments that determined life or death. The pressure of developing such a weapon was immense, but Garand approached it with a deep sense of purpose. His goal was simple: give American soldiers a tool that gave them a fighting chance in a world where standing still meant losing. Garand's journey toward creating the M1 rifle was marked by an almost obsessive dedication to refining every detail. Inside the workshops of Springfield Armory, he spent countless hours sketching new mechanisms, machining parts by hand, and testing each concept until it either failed or proved its worth. Failure never discouraged him. Instead, it fueled his determination to rebuild the idea stronger than before. He often worked late into the night, surrounded by metal shavings, blueprints, and half-assembled prototypes, chasing a level of perfection that most engineers would have considered impossible for a semi-automatic rifle of that era. Every setback taught him something new about how gas systems behaved under stress, how recoil could be harnessed rather than fought, and how precision parts could maintain reliability in battlefield conditions. Garand constantly revisited his own work, making improvements that others wouldn't even notice until he pointed them out. His process was steady, methodical, and deeply personal. He wasn't just solving mechanical problems. He was shaping a weapon he wanted soldiers to trust with their lives. Through this relentless cycle of trial and improvement, Garand transformed a risky concept into a groundbreaking design, proving that innovation is often born from patience, persistence, and the refusal to accept good enough. When the M1 Garand finally reached the battlefield, it immediately set itself apart as a weapon built not for ideal conditions, but for the brutal realities of war. In the mud-soaked trenches of Europe and the dense jungles of the Pacific, the rifle proved its worth with every pull of the trigger. Soldiers quickly realized they had something extraordinary in their hands. A rifle that could fire 8 rounds rapidly without the awkward pause of operating a bolt. This gave American troops a rhythm of fire that overwhelmed enemies who were still relying on slower, outdated weapons. The advantage wasn't just mechanical, it was psychological. The sound of rapid American fire often forced opposing units to take cover sooner, hesitate longer, and lose ground more quickly. The M1's rugged design allowed it to function in freezing winters, scorching heat, and relentless rain. Its reliability became legendary among soldiers who trusted it in moments where a jam could mean death. In major battles from Normandy to Okinawa, the Garand helped shape outcomes by giving infantry squads the freedom to maneuver with confidence. It transformed how units advanced, defended positions, and responded under pressure. By the end of World War II and later in Korea, the M1 Garand wasn't just a rifle, it was a symbol of American strength, innovation, and battlefield dominance. Even after creating one of the most influential rifles in military history, John Garand never sought personal recognition or financial reward. Despite the M1 Garand becoming the backbone of American infantry and earning worldwide respect, he remained the same quiet, humble man who preferred the workshop to the spotlight. When people praised his achievement, he often redirected the credit toward the teams who tested the rifle or the soldiers who carried it, believing they were the true measure of the weapon's success. His humility was so deep that he refused to patent the rifle for personal gain, meaning he earned no royalties from the millions of units produced. To him, the honor was in serving the country and contributing to the safety of its troops. Colleagues remembered Garand as someone who took pride not in fame but in precision, discipline, and the knowledge that his creation made a difference. He lived simply, worked quietly, and rarely stepped into public view, even as his rifle changed the course of 2 major wars. His legacy is defined by this quiet character, an inventor who reshaped modern warfare yet chose to remain in the background. In a world full of loud triumphs and celebrated heroes, John Garand stands as a reminder that greatness doesn't always demand applause. Goodbye, thank you.